Okay, good morning, everyone. We're here today, Tuesday, July 12th, for the CDRC meeting for the Village of Airmont via Zoom. And the first application on the agenda is Bonus of Muncie, 100 Route 59. And I believe we have the applicant's attorney, Paul Baum, on for the applicant.
Good morning, everybody. Morning, Suzanne.
Good morning. I'd like to just introduce Robert Zitt is our new CDRC and planning attorney going forward. So I just wanted to introduce him. Dan is kind of semi-retiring and only doing ZBA going forward.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Robert.
Nice to meet everyone. Thank you, Suzanne.
So my name's Paul Baum. I'm the attorney for the applicant. The applicant is Bonus of Muncie. It's a religious corporation. And what they're looking to do is to establish the school for special instruction for these girls 14 to 17 years of age. They don't really do well in a traditional classroom setting. So, and because of some of the issues with the girls, they really want to focus on skills that they need more than traditional high school education. There's going to be a lot of counseling involved with the classrooms and specialized classes like art and plays where they can develop song and dance and get into acting and drama. They're going to have computer skills so they can learn things like Windows and word processing and Excel and PowerPoint and Adobe and all the basic skills that they need to maybe function in an office or function in another type of vocation. They're going to learn accounting, bookkeeping skills. There's going to be a lot of personal and self-development programs to assist them in helping in their communities and with their families, how to deal with life issues, how to take care of children. It's really the programs are designed to help them grow emotionally and developmentally in a small group size with specific specialized education to meet their needs. The COVID pandemic really hurt this segment of girls. They were really shut out from school when things went down and teachers came and went and principals came and went. And this is a segment of the girl population that was impacted significantly hard with these types of things. So this program is geared towards helping them. I do have Rabbi Fisher here. He's going to be the dean of the school, and his wife Raquel is a very good advocate for the needs of these girls, so they can answer any questions that you have with regard to the application as we move forward. The location is an existing office building at 100 Route 59. The space that they're using was previously used by the Lexington Center. And the Lexington Center is an organization that provides services to the community and members of the community with counseling and curriculum and different types of educational sessions and plan group activities, yoga, recreation, daily meals to assist them. And we're really doing the same thing with our girls. So the space is pretty much ideally laid out and designed for their needs because it's very similar to the program that was there before. The school is very small. As I indicated, the small classes and the small atmosphere is a key to the programs that they're giving these girls. So it's only 65 to 75 girls. The school will operate 4 to 5 days a week. They will be brought by vans. We expect 4 to 5 vans in the AM and PM hours. We don't think any of the impacts from this use are any different or any greater than any impact for any use as of right in this zone. It is zoned LO. It is zoned for office use. It's zoned for school of special instruction that we're proposing. It's zoned for warehousing. It's zoned for industrial, manufacturing. So it's an appropriate zone for this use. And it's in a space that was occupied by an organization that provided the same sort of services that we're providing. So we think it fits right in with the use. And that's our project. We're looking for a special permit from the planning board to allow them to utilize this existing space. No constructions proposed. As I indicated, the site's laid out. I think we gave you a floor plan, and that's it. So if any of the board members have any questions, or the committee members have any questions, we're happy to answer your concerns and see how we can move this project forward.
John, do you want to go over anything? Any questions? Your memo?
Yeah, sure. So we did a memo for July 6th for today's CDRC meeting, and I don't know if the applicant has a comment, any or comments, but I guess one of the big comments that we have that's tied into a number of them is the fact that you know, this is an existing building, yes, and you're looking to occupy one floor of it, but with the addition of 75 students and 35 staff members, we feel that there are some site impacts that need to be looked at. For example, you know, is there satisfactory parking? Is there a place available for bus pickup and so forth? As well as, you know, there's going to be obviously a much greater impact with regards to water and sewer, because, you know, you're going to have essentially a maximum 75 students, 30 staff members, potentially 105 more people in this building. So we do recognize that the building is existing, but we think there are some impacts that need to be addressed. And so our comments are asking to provide us with the latest approved site plan so that we can compare what was previously approved with what is being proposed, so that as a minimum, we can take a look at what those impacts are and determine whether or not, you know, we're going to need to provide an updated site plan.
Yeah, and I emailed you, Suzanne. Do you know if you have a copy of that?
I started looking, Paul, and I do have an old digital copy when the building department was doing a electronic file project years ago. I don't know if that's the latest. I do have one. It's like 1996 or 86, but I wanted to check the file. I didn't have an opportunity before the meeting to see if there's anything after that.
Yeah.
So
Was that signed, that digital one?
The digital one is signed. It's from the town of Rampo. I would just need to please have you send a foil.
Okay.
I'll have the village clerk sign it right away. And then I can send what I have, and I will double check
Thank you.
to see if there's anything after that date, because I don't know. I have some old stuff on the computer. I searched that first.
Okay. Thank you, Suzanne.
Sure.
So with regard to the memo, I don't think any of the impacts that you're identifying are going to be greater than any impact from a use that's a matter of right, but I understand that you need to be satisfied, and we do need to look at these things. So I'll have to go back and we'll speak to the applicant. We'll take a look at the site plan, and we'll, you know, address those issues, and we'll see what impacts that require further review.
Can I just ask one question also? My name is Steve Honan. Rob and I are the attorneys for the planning board on this. When I looked at the proposal, I saw that Lexington was the prior tenant in there. But is there an existing cafeteria or food service? And if not, how is the school proposing on lunchtime food preparation and things of that nature?
So there's no kitchen or cafeteria per se within the space. They're not going to be preparing meals, so the kids will bring meals to school, and there will be an area that they can use as sort of a lunchroom that they can eat their meals. But there's no cooking, no food prep on site. There's no oven in there. There's no refrigerators even. They'll have to bring 1 or 2 in. I don't know, Lou, have you been in that space recently?
No,
I mean, I know they got a CO. What's the date of the CO? So they were issued a CO, oh, it goes back to 2007 under Ian Smith.
Mhm.
So I went in there last week and walked the space with the client, and everything looks to be, you know, in good shape. The sprinkler heads in there, and obviously the fire inspector is going to have to come through and do his
Right.
fire inspection and the building inspection and the load requirements and emergency exits and things like that. We recognize that's a given, but those are really building issues. But we're more than happy to, you know, address any of those issues.
well, that would be my next question. The plans you gave us, you're only taking space A, correct? Only Lexington rehabilitation?
Yes.
All right, and the drawings I have no room sizes or measurements on them, so we're gonna need to figure out an occupancy load for that building,
Yeah.
because currently you only have 1 exit.
Yeah, no, I listen, I know we need to get these sizes in here and we'll do that, but we were, you know, we were rushing to get an application in for the special permit because time is the essence, and, you know, school is going to be reopening soon, and we wanted to try and hopefully get in for the beginning of the school year. So we
My next
will, we'll get you the updated floor plans that show all the dimensions.
My next question is, you're gonna have 100 people in there? It only looks like you have 2 bathrooms.
There are, no, there's many bathrooms. You have the ones in the middle are, there's a girls' rooms and men's room. It's not just one stall. There are stalls within the bathrooms.
Okay,
So they have one designated men's room, one designated for the ladies' room. Obviously, they'll all be used for the ladies.
Mhm.
And then there are staff baths throughout. There's, you know, 1, 2, 3, I think 4 staff baths. And then you have the main common bathroom. So we'll get all that labeled for you, Lou.
thank you.
Stephen, do you have anything else?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
I do have one more question. The tenant that's next to you, section B, I believe it is, and parts of C, isn't that a sound material supplier? They have chemicals.
I don't know. What do you think they are? Sound material supplier?
Mhm.
I don't know who they are.
I think we need to look into that, to see what's on the other side. And we need to check if the adjoining wall between you is actually a double sheetrock, 3/4 hour wall.
I assume there's got to be building plans in the file, Lou, from when 2007, when Lexington did the same thing. So
Yeah, I know. We're gonna need to look though. So I'm gonna have to check and see if there's a proper fire resistant demising wall between the two.
well, let's hope there is.
I hope so.
Me too.
Paul, just one other thing. When I looked at the floor plan, I didn't see any space that was what I would think would be sufficient size for classrooms. Are there going to be internal interior renovations being done at some point to make larger classrooms, or are they sufficient size? I just don't know.
No, there are some. There's 3 or 4 good size rooms in there that have classrooms. And as I indicated, the goal of this is not to have big classrooms. The goal of this is to focus on smaller groups. And the girls they're not going to be sitting in classrooms getting traditional education in big groups. They're going to be in smaller groups of 7, 8 girls, 9 girls. They're going to be broken up. Some are going to be taking accounting. Some are going to be taking drama. Some are going to be taking computer classes. Some are going to be doing art. They're going to have, physical education, yoga, meditation. So there's going to be lots of small groups operating within the building, and there's plenty of rooms to conduct these types of specialized training sessions and counseling sessions for the girls. And so there are some bigger classrooms, and that will more than be adequate to meet their needs based upon the type of school this is.
Thank you.
One of the big draws of this location is, as the board probably knows, schools are very difficult to come by. Developing them is very difficult and expensive, especially from scratch, going through the site plan process, citing them. This space was uniquely designed because it was being used in the same manner that they're using it. The Lexington Center has their clientele, their students, as you call them, and we have our students. So we're providing sort of the similar services, but for different people. And it works really well for this school as it did for the Lexington. So no renovations are needed. Anything else?
That's all I have.
This is on for planning board for the 28th, everyone. I did send out what was submitted, which is the same that was submitted for CDRC to the agencies for comments, as well as this is requiring a GML. I just wanted to point that out.
And as far as I can tell, Paul, this is a type 2 action, of course.
I think so. I mean, I know John asked for a long form EAF in his comment. We submitted a short form. I do think it falls within a type 2. So I'm wondering, if a long form is really appropriate for this project. Obviously, we're going to do what you want, but based upon the fact that we think it's a type 2, we don't see the need to submit the long form. But I'll defer to John.
I'm okay with that, unless certain impacts you become relevant through this review. So if, for example, we need to reconstruct the parking or add bus stops or whatever impacts may arise, if it does not triggers a type 1 or an unlisted action versus a type 2, then I would ask for a long form.
Okay, that sounds fair. We understand that.
It can't hurt having a long form, get more information, see how it goes.
Yeah, but like I said, the building's fully developed,
Without a doubt, that's why
Everything's the parking is
understand.
there.
I understand your position completely.
There, all the grading's been done, all the stormwater analysis has been, it's there. We're adding a tenant. And as I indicated, I think when we look at it and look at the space, our occupancy is not going to be any greater than if you had an occupancy as of right. So if this was developed for an office building, I think you have the same number of people that would be able to occupy this space as we're going to have occupy it. And nobody even questioned the impacts, but we'll do the analysis and we'll take a look and we'll identify any potential impacts for you guys to take a look at. We're not looking to shortcut any processes, and we understand that these things have to be looked at, and we're willing to do them, and we will submit stuff.
Thank you.
Paul, if I may, I know you mentioned the expedient nature of the application. Do you plan on having all of this by the 28th appearance before the planning board? Everything that's been discussed?
Well, that would be a very tall tall undertaking at this point. I mean, we don't even have an engineer involved. We do have a survey that was done by Mazer back in, looks like 2006. And it shows a layout and it shows all the parking. But obviously, we're gonna have to show you where we're bringing in the buses, how we're unloading the children from the buses into the school.
Right.
Obviously, we need to take a look at the parking and indicate, what are the number of spaces that were approved at this site and what are the demands now? What are the requirements? And do we fall within that? Are we now going to make ourselves deficient with regard to parking but we'll look at these issues. I'll pull the site plan and hopefully we won't have to do a new site plan, that we can just go with a special permit. But I understand you have these issues and we want to address these issues. So,
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to know what other tenants are in the building and whether the landlord has dedicated spots for some of these people. I mean, I don't know how the landlord broke them down. I don't know if it's all carnival parking or is it broken up for each space has a certain amount allotted to it?
well,
I guess we'll find those things
normally,
out.
normally, I think, and Lou, you can confirm this. I mean, normally you have a parking count, right? Certain number of spaces are allotted as COs are issued. If there's a change of use, Lou takes a look at that and determines how many parking spaces are there. So we certainly need to know how many parking spaces are on the site, and we certainly need to do an analysis of how many parking spaces are needed for the site based upon, office use and the use that we're proposing and the square footage. So we'll do that analysis and we'll give it to you.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Lexington Center, I believe, was a short-term, people cycled in and out. There wasn't an 8-hour school day there. There was, people came in, did their therapy sessions and left. So there probably was a higher parking requirement or cyclical parking requirement for that. Where in this case, you're gonna have people that are gonna be there all day. They're coming in the morning, staying until the, late afternoon. So it's gonna be a different type of parking.
Yeah, and the like I said, the girls are coming in on buses. There's no parking requirement. And if you read my narrative, there is staff. There'd be a maximum of 30 staff, but they're rotated so they come in at different points during the day. So that maybe you'll start off, there'll be 7 or 8 staff members, and then later on 5 or 6 staff members will come in, and then some additional people will come in, but some people will leave. So according to the applicant, their staff requirements really not going to exceed any more than maybe 10 staff members at any given point during the course of the day, because some people are coming and going, because they come in and they teach the specialized class. They'll come in and they'll teach accounting class, and then they're gone. And then somebody else will come in and teach a yoga, and then they're gone. So they will have a rotating staff throughout the day. But in very small numbers, 4 or 5 coming at a time, with a maximum of 10 at any given time, which is really no different than your standard office building, I think so. But we'll pull the site plan, we'll take a look, we'll do the analysis of parking. I guess we'll try and determine based upon the COs that have been issued for the building, who's there, what are their parking requirements, and we'll show you what's there. But to do all of this for the 28th.
No, I don't think that's realistic to have it all done by the 28th. I agree with you. I'm just trying to streamline the process.
Yeah, no.
For everyone, so that you have to come back as few times as necessary to achieve everything that has to be done.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We'd like to get it done as quickly as possible. And if we're able to do that, we would. I don't know whether it's worth it to go to the planning board just informally, even though it may get adjourned over, and open the public hearing and take whatever public comment there is, or to wait until these things are developed a little bit more before we go to the planning board. I guess that's something we can discuss right now. Well, I don't know what the board thinks, the committee members think.
I'll leave it to you professionals from CDRC, what you feel the next steps are.
Well, I think it's up to the applicant at this point. If you want to do an introduction session and just to advise the board of the plan and that you will be getting further documentation and surveys and parking calculations and things of that nature. But until that point, I don't think we're ready for a public hearing. When we get everything of basically a full application, I think then we would set it down for a public hearing.
We can, not to interrupt you, Steve, but we could do what we call an informal planning board session where they introduce the project and discuss it.
Correct.
And then they would come back to present the items that you just discussed and do the public hearing at that point.
Exactly. Something like that might be a good idea, but I think it's up to the applicant whether they want to do that or not and take the time.
Well, I think if I went to the planning board, I would like to go and have it a public hearing, even though it's going to have to be adjourned. I don't see why we can't, why we would wait on having a public hearing. We can at least open it and then we can adjourn it. If any members of the public have any comments, we can get them at that time so that we can take those into consideration rather than hear about them for the first time, 2 months from now instead of at the end of the month. I think we have a full application. We've submitted a full application. We're asking the planning board to waive the site plan requirements based upon the fact that it's a fully developed site. And I know we have, the engineers and planners comments with regard to the site plan issues. But I certainly think we have enough information to start the process, even though the board may not be in a position to grant an approval this month. I think we can start the process, open the public hearing and then adjourn it.
Well, I think if you want to come to the board, I'm Paul, and since this is my first CDRC meeting, have you been before the board on this matter yet? This would be the first time, correct?
This is the first time, yeah.
Okay, I know. As Suzanne said, we could just put you on the agenda, have you go and speak with the board, and you can make your pitch if you want to ask them at that point to set this down for a public hearing. It would be up to the board if they feel they have enough information and that the application is sufficient and they don't need the engineer's parking calculations. The board could make that decision to set it down for a public hearing. I think that would be then in August.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I don't want to wait for the board to set it down. I want, I guess my question is, do you as the committee say, hey, we think this is ready for a public hearing? Because I filed for a public hearing. So unless there's a consensus that the board that this application is insufficient or not complete enough to hold a public hearing, I would prefer to start the public hearing process.
Well, again, this is my first time in the village appearing as the attorney, but normally that's a determination that the planning board members make at a planning board meeting, whether the application is, if their questions are answered and they're ready for a public hearing, they schedule the public hearing.
It's usually the CDRC that recommends, and I think if
can.
you look at the code, we're entitled to a public hearing. We filed for one. So
And you'll get one. We're talking about the timing now. You're definitely going to get one. So
No, but I'm saying the fact that we filed for a public hearing, we want one. So unless, again, I'm not challenging anybody here. All I'm saying is, unless you feel that the deficiencies that we've talked about today are so significant that we need to have them further resolved before we can go for a public hearing, we'd rather start the public hearing process, go for a public hearing, discuss all these issues, discuss any public input, and then adjourn the public hearing to the next month. But if the board, if you're a committee saying, you know what, we don't think that's enough. We think that these deficiencies that we talked about are too significant. We don't want to have a public hearing, and we're not going to recommend one at this time. And then, then we'll decide whether we want to go for the informal. So I guess the big question is there anything that the committee members see that would make you not make a recommendation to proceed with the public hearing?
Yes. Personally, I think that if you want to go to the planning board and let them know what's going on, that's fine. But this is the first time this board has seen it, and I don't know if there's sufficient parking and places for vans and buses to drop off children, to pick them up, and to recommend to the planning board for a public hearing at this time seems premature.
I tend to agree with John, and I also agree with Lou that there are certain information that needs to be provided to make the application more full. And at the informal meeting, if you wish to do that this time, I think you're free to make the pitch to the planning board that you're ready for a public hearing. But at this point, I think you're a little bit shy.
I tend to agree. I don't feel comfortable without seeing the numbers and the usage of the rooms that as currently as putting a load of 100 people in there static with one exit. Just I need to know how many of those rooms are going to hold how many people, and because this drawing doesn't show me what each of the rooms are and which rooms are going to be used for what. So I can't just guess that the 100 people will even fit in there, or 105 people.
Yeah, but that's a building issue, not really a planning board issue. I mean, that's for you to make a decision before you issue a CO. Should the planning board grant a special permit to allow the use?
But you're not requesting a CO. There's no construction according to you.
Well, okay, not a CO, but a certificate of use, a certificate of occupancy for this tenant.
But if the board says you can go ahead and do it, but you can't actually fit the people in the building, I'm supposed to shut it down?
I think that you wouldn't issue a certificate allowing them to occupy it for the school until you've done your review and you're satisfied that it can be safely occupied.
Yeah, I think the planning board is
Even
going to
if they
want to know
grant the
those
special-
answers to those questions too. I mean, I don't see a planning board just rubber stamping this. I think they want to see that how this space is going to be used.
Well, when they granted a site plan approval to allow the office building to be used as an office building, they didn't make sure that Lou was okay with how the building was going to be divvied up. That's a building function. So the fact that the planning board grants a special permit, that's great, and that's one thing, but we still have the building issues that we have to deal with. And that's for the building department to make sure that, notwithstanding the special permit, it can be occupied safely in accordance with the New York State Building Code. But that's an administrative thing. That's not really a planning board thing. So, but listen, again, I'm not here to fight with you guys. I understand your concern. In my mind, that's an administrative building concern. But if you want these items vetted and addressed beforehand, we're happy to do it. We'll do it.
Good.
Okay.
It's Suzanne. I have a question. If they're going to resubmit additional information and still go to the planning board, I would assume that I need to resend for another GML with the additional information. That's my question, right, Lou? I would think so.
I don't know why we'd have to send another GML review. We have the application. It's been submitted.
Okay.
Unless the plan is changing significantly, you really don't need to send it back to a GML review every time there's a small tweak or change in the plans. And at this point, we're not making any changes to the plan. I think if we were to maybe revise the site plan, that might trigger it, obviously, but
All right, I guess we'll wait.
but I'll leave it to you guys. I'm not the village council.
I'm just asking from a timing perspective, that's all, to make
Yeah.
sure I get everything out on time.
Have you sent it out yet, Suzanne?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it went out.
Okay.
Yeah, it has to go 30 days before the meeting, and the planning board meeting is the 28th.
Okay. So I guess what we'll request that we put on the agenda for an informal discussion. And in the meantime, we will work to put in a response to the issues that we've raised today and, just keep the process moving forward.
Okay.
You
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Okay. Send me that FOIL, Paul, so I can get you that information as quickly as possible, please.
I'll take care of it right now.
Okay, because
Thank
I'm out
you.
next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you all.
much.
Okay, our next application on the agenda is the Furniture Village, 210 Route 59. They're converting the diner into a furniture store. And I see Mendy from Fast Forward, the applicant's representative, and Paul Gdansky, the applicant's engineer on. Paul and Mendy, we have new attorneys for CDRC and planning. Dan is only going to be doing ZBA going forward. We have Robert Zitt and Stephen Hannen on. So I just wanted to introduce them to you because you've been to CDRC prior to this with Dan.
Nice to meet everyone.
Same.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. Paul, are you going to start, or Mendy?
I guess I'll start. 210 Route 59 is proposed furniture store, the location of the Airmont Diner. As we've already said, there are no exterior changes, nothing proposed on the site. All changes are interior. The restaurant is going to be redone. Basements to remain storage space, not to be used. That's pretty much it. We have responded to all the comments that we received from our last two CDRC meetings. And we are hoping to move forward.
Stephen and Robert, to just give you some background, at the last meeting, they had discussed possibly making office space down in the basement, and they've changed their mind on that because they had asked for additional information if they did that, and now they're not doing that, correct, Mendy?
Yeah,
I saw that reference, yeah.
Okay, so I just.
it doesn't work out very well, so.
John, do you have anything on this?
Yes, so we took a look at the revised plans, and a number of comments have been addressed. There's still a few things that we need. We did get the long form, and it appears to be address all the comments. So this is county referral, and DOT and DPW need to give any input because it is a state highway and a county highway. So I don't know if they've actually made application, or at least asked them to review the plans to see if they have any concerns. But I think we need that certainly before this board or the planning board decides to take any kind of action. Comments 4 and 5 under the planning review, just 2 notes on the plans. A lot of the engineer's response kind of addressed some of the concerns, but we kind of feel like it's important to have it on the plans. So the hours of operation to be physically put on the plans, as well as a note that the basement will not be used for anything other than storage. So there's no misunderstanding, because ultimately that's the plan that will be signed by the planning board. And then on comment 6, there is existing landscaping, and I believe there is some proposed additional landscaping. And so it's kind of a unique one where there's existing landscaping as well as some additional landscaping. And I believe the lighting is going to stay as is. So the applicants requested a waiver. I think we want to just take we haven't got a chance to get out there, but just make sure that we think the lighting that's existing is satisfactory, as well as the combined proposed and existing landscaping. So I don't think it's going to be an issue, but I'd like to have an opportunity to actually see it. when it's lit up to make sure it's not A, too bright, or B, too dim. Under engineering, we did get an architectural plan, but it really didn't show much. So I don't know, maybe you could clarify if there's any proposed changes to the exterior of the building. And if there is, I couldn't see it on the architectural plan. It just,
So
Ed?
yeah, there are some changes to the exterior. We have provided a rendering at the first CDRC, and it's gonna have to go to the ARB board, ARC. So I guess we'll get to see that.
all right, I'm not sure if that's a different rendering than what I looked at, but we looked at really, it showed
The blank building. John, the one I'm looking at is dated 4/26. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the only rendering we submitted.
Okay.
okay. So we just got to take a look at that. Comment 2, we do believe there's ample parking, so there's no issue there. There was a question or concern. I guess the engineer had indicated that there is no proposed development on site. So this would not qualify as a redevelopment because there is no proposed construction outside. So yes, he's correct. So it's not a requirement, but I would ask to just take a quick look and see if there's any place where you can do any sort of infiltration practices, maybe in combination with what little landscaping you're doing. So it's generally considered good engineering practice to try, if you can, to get some sort of green infrastructure runoff reduction if possible. So I'm just asking him to take a look at that. No impacts on water or sewer, significantly less. But we do need a Rockland County Health Department approval. So because it's a change of use, so we're asking that be looked into. That's all we have.
Just a quick note, we are not proposing any new landscaping. Everything's existing.
Oh, it is? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so then we're gonna do a site visit to take a look at both the landscaping and the lighting. So obviously we'll have to be in the evening hours when the lights kick on, just to see exactly how the lighting works there. So we'll do that in the near future, probably later this week, early next week.
Can you maybe let us know the day you're gonna do it? Because I don't know if the lights come on at night. Oh wait, it's done. They're orange and Rockland lights. They probably come on no matter
Yeah,
what.
they should be on at night.
Okay.
Mandy, you changing anything to the sign? Just what it's gonna say, that's it? No other
Yeah,
changes?
just what we submitted.
Okay.
Is this store going to be for retail purposes, retail sale of furniture to the public?
Yes.
I was just wondering if there's going to be no changes. Is there an existing loading dock or any way to get the furniture in and out, stock in and out, other than through the front doors that the customers will be using?
The furniture is in a warehouse. It's not going to be stored at this facility.
There's no storage. I thought the warehouse is going to be in the storage for the basement because it's no longer
that's
going to be offices.
They're just for like extra parts or things that are going to be put out on display. They actually have a warehouse at a different location.
This is more of a showroom, Steve.
I gotcha. Okay.
And Steve, I know we were talking about the parking calculations. Was there anything on there about that?
A change of use, a restaurant to a furniture store, it should be pretty close. But as John said, I believe there's ample parking.
Yeah, and there's a calculation on the plan too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, there's plenty of parking.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I think they're looking to go to the planning board. And when they submit for the planning, just so everyone knows, that's when I send out to all the agencies the submission to get comments for the planning board. So that's when I'll do the GML and all the agencies, the related agencies, to get the information for the meeting. Do you all feel that this is ready to go to planning?
Seems to me that it is.
John?
You know,
It's my
ultimately,
first meeting.
Right, I defer to John, but I think it looks as though it's ready.
Okay.
I don't have any problem.
Okay, and Mindy, just so you know, I know you have the schedule to go to the August 25th Planning Board meeting. The deadline is July 21st.
Um,
And we can talk
problem.
offline on that, okay?
All right, thank you.
Anybody have anything else? Okay. All right, the next application is also with Mendy and Pogadansky for 53 North Lorna Lane, Eisenberger, for a site plan for a new single-family home in the wetland area. Just pull that file out. John, do you want
Yes.
to?
So this is pretty simple application. My understanding, they have to come to planning CDRC because they're infringing upon the wetland buffer for a structure, a single family home, I believe, that they're going to be building an extension to, and then removing the portion of the existing family home that exists there now. So we did ask that a letter be provided from the environmental consultant delineating that the wetland shown on the plan is accurate, and I did see that was submitted. So comment 1 is addressed, and there was a concern about a height variance, but then the applicant changed the structure to a 2-story structure, if I'm not mistaken. Therefore, the concern regarding a height variance is no longer an issue. So that comment has been addressed. I think we asked for sewer water detail services. The sewer detail service appeared, but I still didn't see the water service detail on the plans. And on that topic, the details are like almost impossible to read. So I'm asking the engineer to please enlarge them so you can read them.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. And let's see, I do believe they need a wetlands permit, but that permit has to be secured before building permit, or does it get secured during the planning board phase? I'm not sure.
It gets done during the planning board phase. And what they need to do is use the current planning board application and check off other and put in wetland in there and provide all the wetland information. I actually did a draft to create of a wetland permit that has to be circulated with the new attorneys to see if they think, and with John, but until we do that, we use the application. And then the engineer looks at the limit of disturbance to designate the fee, the wetland fee, and I keep that in the file. So you
Okay.
can submit for both when you go to planning, Mendy.
Got it. Okay.
I don't know
Okay.
who's talking.
That's
Okay,
great. And then my last comment is, as always, anytime we do infiltration to offset impervious, it is a requirement to do an infiltration test to make sure that the soil has infiltrative capacity. So I think there's an assumed one on the plans, if I'm not mistaken. So just to give us one based on an actual test.
No problem.
And that's all I have. I have no problem with proceeding to planning unless the building inspector or the other
Yeah.
consultants have a problem.
Lou, you have comments?
Oh, I actually have some questions here.
Okay,
Based on the bulk table, it looks like you use the entire lot coverage as the basis for the calculation for developmental and for floor area ratio.
That's correct.
According to code 210-29, you're supposed to be removing the wetlands.
All right, I can do that, but I think we'll still be okay.
Because that, I don't know if it's going to trigger a variance or not, but the other questions I had is under your notes, number 6, in the top left-hand corner of the drawing, says the common wall is to be underpinned to attach to new home. That's the common wall between the existing house and the new house being built?
Yeah, because they're gonna tear down the existing house and they're gonna use that common wall.
So they're
That's
gonna
what the architect wants to do.
wall while they're living in it?
The
Well,
wall,
it's under,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
The two homes are not going to be open to each other during construction. The walls to remain.
Okay, and this is my last question. And I see you're changing the driveway. It's gonna come in and loop through across the front of the existing house and come in on the left-hand side?
No, that was actually supposed to be revised. The driveway is, I believe, in the end going to be moved down to where the existing house is.
Okay, it says there's an existing driveway to be removed. That's where the new house is going. Then there's a proposed paved driveway that comes in where the existing driveway is and loops across both the front houses and makes a little Louis in parking area.
I'll
Is that-
take the existing house off on it and put like a little insert and put the driveway in that spot.
Okay, well, that would be my next question, and this is a legal question for our attorneys. We're gonna have, at some point, two houses on one lot. What if at that point they decide that they don't want to bulldoze the old house?
Well, it doesn't convert into a two-family house. There's only,
I think it was gonna be a two-family house. What if it's now an addition?
it would be a violation of the site plan approval.
Would
And
it,
then they'd be fined, and then they'd have to come
You're-
back to the planning board.
your intention is to live in there while the new structure is being built, correct? But once the new structure is built, to remove the old structure, correct?
Correct.
But I can't issue a CO to have two COs on one lot.
You
So-
can't, correct.
So can you add a note to the plan stating that prior to issuance of a CO, that the existing portion of the building shall be removed? So during construction, if you want to use it, fine, but at some point in time, it will be gone before you ask Lou
Yes.
for a CO.
Prior to SIVO.
So you can add that note to the plan.
Can you
Yeah.
repeat that, John, what you once said? I'm sorry.
Prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy for the new dwelling,
Uh-huh.
the existing dwelling shall be removed to its entirety.
Mine shall be, okay,
So
got it. Thank you.
That's it. That's all I have.
Steve or Robert have anything?
No, I'm nothing further.
Do you all feel this is ready to go to planning as well?
You know, I did have just a curiosity question. I see the existing house is a high ranch there. Is the new structure being built also going to be on a slab, or are you planning on a basement now that you're going to be into a adjacent wetland?
I don't think a basement is possible over there. So I believe it's going.
Yeah, I
to be
didn't think so either. Right? Okay.
I'm
What's
pretty
the
sure.
square footage of the finished structure? What's the square footage going to be?
I
I didn't have that in my
not,
plan.
they haven't finished architecturals yet. It's not, all worked out, but it's gonna come out to roughly 5,000 square feet, I believe.
And you got about 0.9 gross, and then you got to net out after reducing the wetlands, right?
Right.
Okay.
All right, we'll update the bulk table.
Anything else from anybody?
Steve, do you think they should come back here once more for this? Is it
I
necessary?
don't know. I don't know if we really need to. I'd ask if John thinks so, but I mean, I think the plan is pretty clear what they need to do, what they're going to do.
It's a pretty, very simple application too,
Yeah.
so it's not really very complicated, so.
But Paul, you're going to make those changes that Lou asked for to make sure there's no variance needed, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
And they're gonna get us new plans before the next meeting?
Yeah,
Within
with those
the
notes.
timeframe?
Yes.
so then everyone agrees it can go to planning
Yep.
with the changes. All right.
Yes.
All right.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you all.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you
day.
all.
Thank
You
you.
too. Have a good day.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. I'm gonna stop the recording and hold on.